Hello, welcome to BikeSocial. I'm Michael, and this is Honda's GB350S, a prime example of a simple, affordable motorcycle in that sort of 300 to 400cc capacity that is so very, very popular over the last couple of years. We've seen entries from Royal Enfield, from Triumph, really dominating sales charts as well. So Honda have done exceptionally well in 2025 since they introduced this model. And then BSA, owned by Indian automotive giant Mahindra since about 2016. They said, do you know what? I fancy a slice of that pie. And they came to us earlier this year with the Bantam 350. They announced it in the summer. It's only just being available in dealerships. So Mr. Luke Brackenbury and I are going to be test riding these bikes back to back for your pleasure.
3, 2, 1.
Of course, you're watching this on the Bennett's YouTube channel. Bennett's is the UK motorcycle insurance broker. So if you are going to insure your motorcycle, make sure it is with Bennett's because we can make more content like this. And of course, there's a UK contact centre. There's a 24/7 claims line. We even insure the 20 most common modifications to your bike completely for free as standard, it all thrown in. And you get, Luke, free BikeSocial membership, free, if you insure your bike directly with Bennett's.
I thought you were saying you get free me.
You get free Luke Brackenbury. He'll come round and do the dishes and all sorts. Mr. B, we've had a cracking day, haven't we? Look, it's like we ordered the weather.
Fantastic day, good day, riding bikes, sunshine, it's all good.
It's always a good day when it's sun is shining and there's motorcycles involved. And two very, very standout motorcycles too. Popular, as we know. Well, certainly the Honda has been popular according to the sales charts and the registration charts. And it's that 300 to 400cc capacity sector is strong right now.
Really strong. It's a really exciting place to be. So, think about when we were growing up riding bikes, the small bike categories were dominated by grey import, Exotica from Japan or fairly bland parallel twins. And now we've got, something in every kind of genre of a small capacity that look amazing and great value.
Value is pertinent. We'll run through the typical template of a BikeSocial review here. So we'll start with price and end with verdicts. And well, where better to start than value? Speaking of value, really good point, because of course that is what attracts people to these bikes. Both of them sub £4,000, £3,949 for the Honda. It's only £250 cheaper for the BSA once you've taxed it and put it on the road. It's ideal, isn't it? It's what draws people in.
Exactly. The amount of variety in the small capacity classes now is great from every genre. And I suppose, like you said, Michael, these are a leisure purchase. It's so if you can come in at such an incredible value, it's going to make more people look at them, and the justification is there. It's I think they're the kind of people that are going to buy these are cash buyers, but we did a little bit work at look at the PCPs as well. So there's very accessible, I suppose, is the way to put it.
Accessible is the word. It's less than £3.50 is the difference in monthly repayments over 3 years with a £650 deposit. It's £69 for the Honda per month or 66.5 for the BSA. Which again is so attractive to someone who isn't a PCP. Now, whether they're coming up after getting into an A2 license, perhaps as they starting their motorcycle journey, or coming back into a motorcycle journey, or maybe coming down from having a larger capacity or physically larger bike.
Yeah, so cash buy or monthly, they're an accessible way of getting what is a great looking machine for not a lot of money.
A few options on colours. The Honda's only got 3, hasn't it?
Yeah,
it's
quite.
What's that one called?
Puka grey.
Throwing your hospital pass for that one.
Pusa, maybe, I don't know. But I like the colour. That's But yeah, I guess the colours available on the Honda are quite understated. There's this call it blue. There's a grey, and then there's a black. Whereas it's got 5 colours on the BSA that are all quite quite bold and bright, sort of split tank designs, and then the side panels match. So it's, again, that's all down to personal preference really. But obviously with such little bodywork on these bikes, it's all about the tank and the colour on it.
These are completely standard, aren't they? We don't know much about the accessory range yet on the BSA because nothing's been confirmed or announced. Whereas Honda, you expect, they've got a plethora, haven't they? Whether you want to sort of, well, I say performance, not really performance upgrades, but weather protection or luggage, things like that. There's the usual.
Practical stuff.
Yeah, exactly that. Brilliant. All right, price and PCB covered. What about engine and performance? So they're both single cylinders. Actually, there's a world of difference, aren't there? I might be overemphasizing that, but
there's a lot of difference. Yeah, so more or less 350cc single cylinder, 4 strokes, but the Honda's quite old school. It's air cooled 2 valve, and the BSA is a 4 valve water cooled, and they pretty much made the same amount of torque, but the Honda does it at half the revs. It's at peak torque at 3,000 RPM and 6,000 for the BSA. But then the BSA's got about a third more outright power. And so they are very different to ride, how they do it. The BSA's got a 6-speed box, quite short ratios. It's quite revvy and happy. And the Honda's torquey, it doesn't really want to revs out pretty quick. And it's got a 5-speed box, quite wide ratios. I don't know if you found, like, 5th gear is like a proper overdrive, isn't it? If you got a hill or a slight hill, you can put it back to 4. So, very different. And because of the different characteristics of the engines, that gives them different sounds and feel when you're in town and that.
Yeah, we've pitched these bikes as like for like because they are as similar as you can get, but actually remarkably different with the engine character. We've ridden all different types of roads, haven't we, today? Or deliberately so. We picked the route that would have, so we've had a bit of A1, with dual carriageway, we had single track, A roads, B roads and all sorts. Bumpy and otherwise, uphill and downhill, and they make a bit of a difference on these bikes too, because you get the slightest incline or decline and your top speed or your speed's going to be, it makes a bit of a difference.
These aren't performance motorcycles, and people they're not going to buy it for that. There are bikes of this look, of this style, with bigger horsepower, bigger torque figures, bigger engines. So you are going for look and feel. So it's not it's 20 horsepower, just about crack 80 mile per hour. And I'm not a very big guy, so it's not about that. You're not thrashing it through that. It is about chugging around and slow speed and just kind of pottering around riding. And the BSA will take a bit more revving. I think it's quite smooth, but when we went through Stamford, beautiful town, and the Honda's sort of got that chugging noise. Even when you turn it off, it's chug, chug, chug. And then the BSA, the fan's kicking in quite early. It's a lovely day today, but it's not super hot, and the fan's coming in, so you're hearing that fan, and I quite like the sound of the Honda, and it is a different feel. We were talking about, it feels like it's got a heavy crank, but in a good way. This slow speed manoeuvring, it's not rushed or laboured. It's just chugs along.
Its sound matches its appearance, I think, much more than the BSA does.
Yes.
I think you've described it, and I'm just really going to reiterate what you said, because the Honda is languid, it's very relaxed, it's smooth as anything though, isn't it? Considering it's a thumper, considering I think it's got a balancer shaft, if not two, and it makes a big difference because it glides along, considering the sound. So your brain's saying, okay, well, it's sounding like that, so it should feel like that, but actually it doesn't feel like that at all. So you're not feeling, the vibes, the sort of the traditional mechanicalness of a motorcycle through the bars or through the other touch points, the seat or the foot pegs.
Yeah,
and I found it really charming and relaxing, much more relaxing to ride than the BSA because of that sort of that higher revving motor. I noted that at, I think it was 6,000 RPM, 60 miles per hour in 6th gear, so top gear on the BSA, doing 6,000 RPM, and it's like it's not bad vibes, but it's you feel a bit, and of course on that thing, it's just everything's so calm and
I know they are different engines and different gearboxes, but you can be at 30 mile per hour in top gear on this, and it'll chug. Not that you really want to do that, but you can be lazy with it, and it'll chug along. And you can't get away with it on the BSA. Yes, it's different ratios of box, but you got to work it a little bit harder. Like I said, the peak torque's at double the revs of the Honda, so they kind of look the same. I love obviously the simplicity of the GB350 with no radiator and that. I've got a 1980 CB250 RS and it's very similar, oil cooled, air cooled, single. So I'm quite at home with it.
I like the idea of that you can get. You mentioned fifth being overdrive, and it's true because, well, of course it's true because you said it. But I'll just sort of back it up only because came down the slip road onto the motorway there, and you pull in. It doesn't really rev out in fourth, does it? You get to 70 miles an hour quite easily in fourth, and then fifth there's a bit of all right, I'm going to cruise along now.
Yeah, of course there's no rev counter on this, so you just...
Though it is quite easy to hit the rev limiter in first.
Yeah, in the first couple of gears, if you're being a bit, just like say accelerating onto a dual carriage road, so you're like, it's there already. But no, it's not for being rushed. It's smooth enough. It makes a noise, and you're not buying it. People aren't buying it for that, for performance in any way. It helps keep the weight down. It's going to keep the running costs down. It's got insurance, all those things, tax class. It is just on a day like this, just like we're doing, chugging around, and you can go on all those beaten back roads because you're just cruising around slowly.
Makes you happy, doesn't it?
It does make you happy. Yeah. That's important.
And talking of vibes, again, just reiterating that it's not over vibes. It's not a bad thing. It's not that distinguishable. I think if I'd have ridden it in isolation, I wouldn't even have noticed. But because we're back to back and swapping about all day, you get a little bit of vibe through the mirrors, and it just gets a bit blurry. But it's not an issue on the Honda. Moving on, handling and suspension. There's a slight difference, isn't there, in tyre size, just an inch between the two bikes.
Every inch counts, Michael.
Apparently so. But which way round is it, sir? And does it make a difference, or did you feel any difference?
Yeah, the Honda's got a 19-inch front compared to the BSA's 18-inch, 17 on the rear. No, I didn't notice. Again, the type of the bike, you're not really throwing it on its ear. I was actually surprised by the ground clearance, but handling-wise, there's not a lot of performance to tie the chassis, not so. And again, the speeds, you have to really be what seems quite unkind and thrash them to get them to get nowhere near triple figures. But so when you are riding corners, you if you're used to bigger bikes, you're well within your ability. But we didn't tie the bikes in knot, and there was we got onto what was quite a bumpy road, and you were in front. I was thinking, right, here we go. I'm going to be watching you out of the saddle, and I was surprised, and you were surprised that these twin shock things, they dealt with it. I mean, yes, they're brand new bikes, but they were very composed on roads that weren't very nice. But then again, the speeds that you ride these that has a factor into it.
Theoretically, budget suspension because it's a sub £4,000 bike, but I was
impressed.
really impressed.
Yeah, I did some really hard braking and things like that, just being over the top with them, and handled it fine.
Yeah, nice day, good weather, good conditions, rubbishy roads in places, but again, the bikes, they handled everything we threw at them ideally. Difference in tyres, the Honda has got some Metzler Torrent Next front and rear.
I've heard of Metzler before.
Yeah, heard of them. And MRF on the BSA.
Yeah, I have heard of them, and I think that's standard fit on some.
Indian owned, of course, BSA. They've been Indian owned for almost 10 years now, Mahindra, or a subsidiary of Mahindra.
I'm like 90% sure MRF are an Indian tyre as well.
Well, the M stands for Madras, so I'm going with yes.
I want a curry now.
Even this heat. All right, Luke, moving on. Weight and brakes. Starting with there's a 7 kilo difference between the two. Not massive, but when you've not got a great deal of bike to play with, does it make a difference? 7 kilos lighter, by the way, the Honda is. 178 versus 185.
We jumped on this one, I'd ridden the Honda a little bit before. When we filled up with fuel on both of them, that made a difference. The Honda's got a couple more litres to hold.
15 over 13.
I'm not feeling the 7 kilogram difference in. Again, it comes down to the the way you're riding them. Really, it's not late hard-minute braking and you know, throwing it around corners. Even wheeling them around, you know, for photos today and that, it's not difficult because the weight's quite low, the bikes are low. So yeah, I mean, it all adds up, but
Good point, actually. Turning circle's really good on both of them, isn't it?
yes, yeah.
Probably
yeah.
even better on the Honda.
Slow speed manoeuvring on the Honda, I was so much more comfortable with, you know. It's,
Both very like clutch actions.
yeah, I also think
easy.
that it's to do with the crank and that and the inertia, just slow speed turning feet up. But really, it's really balanced and composed.
Yeah.
Again, they're both easy and they're both light. So saying that though, I couldn't do the old side stand turn trick on the BSA, couldn't I? I just had a few goes and I was like, so I guess it'd be interesting to see what its weight bias is. But
Yeah. Well, I semi-tried it, and then I looked at how the build quality of the side stand and bottled it, frankly. Brakes was the other section here.
yeah, it's got them
Yes, it has front and rear, would you
front
believe?
and rear. Yeah,
ABS, of course, on both.
yeah.
While we say that, traction control only on the Honda, not any is
Absolute
switchable.
waste of time. Yeah, traction control. Speaking of, you know, so you go just give it the brakes. They are adequately braked
Yeah.
again for the weight and for the performance of them. You know, we're able to trigger the ABS by being, you know, really you know, hard on the brakes, but they're not under brake. We did a bit of two-up riding as well, and it's fine. So I think brake-wise, they're not over braked, and you want to see the nice design of the wheel, so it doesn't need twin discs. When you get back onto the electronics, though, it's got traction control on the Honda, and
Pointless.
it's pointless. And so when you turn it off, which you can do by holding down the lower of the button on there, then a different light on the dash illuminates. But unlike a lot of systems, if you hit the kill switch, it resets. It's not intrusive, but I just wonder what it's doing. But one thing I don't like about the Honda, it's got that eco thing that keeps coming up. Right?
Flashes up in green, doesn't
Keep
it?
flashing, you know, it's telling me that my riding's eco. Well, I bought a really small engine bike. I'd imagine it's going to be, which we know, we'll go on to that, you know, fuel-wise. Why do you need to keep telling me on the dash that I'm now being, you know, economic with my fuel use? Thanks very much. But it catches you in the corner of your eye.
Because it flashes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's on and it's off.
I don't need to know that. And I guess when you go through, like the display's nice on the Honda, nice and simple. Speedo, big dial, analog, easy to read, and then you've got the LCD within that, which has got, you know, your time, your gear position, fuel gauge, which is quite small, and then you've got trip 1 A and B, odometer, battery voltage, and then you've got like your real-time fuel economy. I mean, I'd rather have a digital rev gauge just to kind of, you know, maybe I could change the gearing or, you know, the rear sprocket on this. And then get onto the BSA again. It's the same sort of analog mixed with digital, and again, but you've got hard to read rev counter at the top. It's really difficult.
You've got to squint, haven't you?
Yeah,
you've got to really
and that's
concentrate
not
on having a look.
over 40s eyes. I mean, I'm all right, you know, close at reading, but I'm like, what's that for? But yeah, I mean, there's not a lot going on. There's not a lot happening on the bikes, you know.
But they've both got fuel gauges, which is a good thing.
Lovely job.
Because some bikes don't, and that is a bugbear of mine.
Yeah.
Right, weight and brakes done. Comfort and economy. Shall we start with comfort? Let's break it down. How are the riding positions? Because they've both got the same 800mm seat height. But I, for one, noticed that the BSA, the front of the seat, is a lot narrower than the Hondas.
Usually I'm a lot more sensitive to that sort of thing because I've got 30-inch inside legs. I'm short with short legs, so I try not to stop. But with both bikes, I'm comfortable, feet on the floor. So I didn't notice it as much if it was a bit narrow because I was quite comfortable flat-footed on the floor. Riding positions are great. I mean, they're flat bench seats. They're nice and comfortable. You can move around on them easily. And I think I prefer, the riding positions are nice and all day sort of comfortable. Yeah, you're not getting so much wind blast because they're not that fast, but the bars feel wider on the Honda. It's a bit more, for me, I found it a more comfortable riding position, but again, very similar.
Agreed, very similar for me. I preferred the Honda, mainly because I thought the seat was a little softer.
Yeah.
And also a little wider, which I thought was nicer. It seemed more comfortable for my physique, 6 foot and 14.5 stone.
How did you find with your legs? Because my legs are in a lovely position. That kind of triangle just feels really nice on those. I'm not
On the
cramped.
Honda?
No, on
Just-
both.
oh,
On
both.
both. Yeah, I just feel. I didn't think about the riding positions. They felt just.
Yeah.
And we've been on them all day.
We've not measured either of them either, but if you were to ask me which had the pegs that were furthest back, I would say the BSA.
I'd agree with you. Yeah.
Marginally.
Yeah, I'd agree with you.
But yeah, you're right. Riding positions, it's just so well suited. It's so lovely. It just feels comfortable. It's perfect for what the bikes are supposed to be doing.
Yeah. I thought they'd deck out easier,
Yeah.
but you weigh a little bit more than me, and we've
More than 7 kilos more. Yes.
yeah more than and I didn't scratch the pegs, but then again I went fast. But we went around some roundabouts, a couple of times, big fast ones. I thought, oh, they'll deck out, and they didn't. So maybe that's just something about our riding, or
well,
the tyres.
maybe that's it. Well, we were riding in the style of perhaps the ideal customer. The Honda has a centre stand as well, speaking of ground clearance, but again, that didn't interfere with anything, did it? And
No.
it actually took me probably a good few hours to realise that it had a centre stand. Necessary?
Necessary, absolutely, because I think that the person that's going to buy that will be adjusting their chain and looking over it and parking it up on that and cleaning it and getting the wheels right. So I think it's necessary. I think
So it's a bonus then, really.
Yeah. Bonus, I think, if you think about bikes like this style that came out, they would have a centre stand maintenance.
Can we move on to economy? So we've already established that the Honda has got a slightly larger tank than the BSA, doesn't it, by about 2 litres.
2 litres, yeah.
And we brimmed them before we rode. At the end of the ride, we brimmed them once more, and you have the maths. Am I right?
Yes, I did some maths. So, yeah, and I guess we probably were quite enthusiastic in a lot of our riding, but then we had a mixture of town and back bumpy B roads and A's and dual carriageways. So on the BSA, we managed 51.75 miles per gallon. So this is on one tank, but I guess a good spirited Sunday ride, I suppose you'd say that was.
I think it was, yeah. I think it'd be the type of rider that I would normally do.
And 79 miles per gallon to the Honda. So
really what we're saying is that is the bare minimum one can expect.
Yeah,
Unless
I
you
think
are
so.
riding around like John McGuinness.
yeah, I think we were, obviously doing photo shoots and things like that. It's
Backwards, forwards.
yeah,
on,
I think
on,
that's
on,
probably going to be about as bad as it gets. What we've done today.
Now, considering the how do I put this delicately? Minimal amount of power that the bikes provide. We had an opportunity to ride with a Pillion, didn't we? Today, our immense videographer Dom was hopped on the back and gave us an opportunity to really feel what it was like through Stamford. So going on and off the clutch, stopping at traffic lights and sort of crawling uphill, downhill, through the gearbox. And it, I don't know how it felt for you, but I felt. I'm always very courteous, I think, when I carry a Pillion. I think we all should have to be.
Especially one that's carrying quite a lot of money's worth of video
and it's his responsibility to make us look good too. Anyway, but in terms of their ability, they're not designed to carry Pillions, but they did it very, very well.
Yeah, I ride with a Pillion a lot. My youngest son, he's similar weight to me now, so with different bikes riding all the time and adventure bikes he gets on, you really notice that. And Dom will weigh more than with my kid. And when he got on it, because the seat's so low, it didn't, you kind of brace yourself when someone gets on that. But because you're lower, you're flatter footed, it didn't really notice it. And it's, again, because the seats are of sort of flat level, there's not that kind of, it's not pitched in a different way. It didn't really upset the behaviour of the bike, really. And yeah, we went through town with a passenger on, and yeah, I've heard it was fine manoeuvring. The suspension didn't feel like it was tipped backwards. They didn't feel over soft, so
Didn't struggle, did it?
but you're not going to do loads of miles with a Pillion. I mean, it's plenty of space on the seat, but a big generous straps to them.
Equipment and rivals, we have spoken about equipment really already, I think probably to the extent that we need to cover that section. But one thing I wanted to point out, on the Honda you've got the ability to, what's it called, lock your helmet.
Yes.
So there's like a D-lock, so you put your thing and lock that up.
Yeah, proper old school.
Yeah, which is great, isn't it? And also you've got the ability to, well, it's got options to bungee cord straps
Yeah.
holders, which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
really useful.
Yeah, I strapped a massive box to to the back of it to go and do a parcel run with it. So yeah, that's again just stuff you used to get. Centre stand, pillion hooks, helmet locks. I don't know how many people lock a helmet to it because it's a nightmare when it rains if it's upside down, but it's damn useful. There's not much storage, as standard. So, it's a fish and chip, ice cream, seaside kind of bike, so you can lock your helmet to it.
Speaking of equipment, would you fit, I mean, if there's a fly screen, I think there is a fly screen available for the Honda, and let's say there was to the BSA, would you fit that? Would it have made a difference? I'm just thinking about what would be useful. What's missing? Hand guards, perhaps?
Do you know what? It depends what your use is going to be, because again, if this is the style of bike for you, and you're a young rider or A2 or new into motorcycling, and then you get the bike and it has got it's not just a Sunday thing. You're going to commute on it because it is good on fuel. It's light and that. So yeah, you're going to add the practical touches to it if you ride all year, a fly screen, something like that. For me, not really. I wouldn't add that to it. I mess around with the colours a little bit. Well, more so on the Honda. I think the BSA's got some great colour schemes, but yeah, I don't know, if you ride all year round, you're going to go heated grips or some hand guards, but it kind of got to be in keeping with it, really. Yep. If you put a top box or anything on it, it's going to look rubbish. So it's a rucksack or maybe some forever panniers. You're just going to be styling, tweaking them. I think the exhaust on the BSA looks quite nice already. It's quite stylish. It's less so on the Honda. And the Honda, this test bike we've got, it's already starting to show some signs of corrosion. So you'd be looking to put something not particularly louder, but just that looks a bit nicer, I suppose.
People are already talking, I think, on the internet about where they're built, like that matters, or how long are they going to last. We've seen a couple of examples, haven't we, actually, on both bikes where you think, could be better.
Yeah.
You named one with the exhaust. And there was a bit of rust on a bracket, wasn't there, that we'd already noticed?
Yeah, so all around the exhaust on this test bike here, and we don't know what, if it's been out, stood outside for a lot. But yeah, inside the exhaust, you can see it's starting to corrode, and where it mounts off the pillion footrest there, you can still it's starting to go. And then we took the seat off the BSA, and you can see that the paint is chipping there underneath, which is just going to be prime area to start rusting. It didn't look very thick. Then when we fueled them up around the fuel cap on the BSA, again, paint flaking and chipping off there. So I don't know. I mean, like most things, you take care of it, you ride it all year. It's going to be respective of how well you look after it. That exhaust on the Honda, I think that's going to look pretty bad straight away.
Yeah, only time will tell.
The thickness of the paint on the BSA, yeah, again, it depends on, if this is your all year round only vehicle, then it's probably going to start looking tired. But we talked, when we were getting this test together, I was like, well, how many BSA dealers are there against Honda dealers? Because Honda, I own stacks of Honda. I think I've got 5 Hondas, and I've got some really old ones, and they just age well, parts, everything like that. You've got 6-year warranty on this one now if you service it with Honda and use official parts. You get that Honda, there's that trust part of you, and this thing is pretty simple. Service intervals, they're quite frequent, but it's an easy thing. It's easy to get out. So you feel like Honda have got that badge. But with the BSA, I think you said there's half the amount of dealers.
Yeah, it's a 3-year warranty on this, and there's 33 dealers around the UK apparently, as opposed to the 70 of the Honda.
So still a fair amount of dealers. Yeah. Again, Honda have been around for ages, and I've owned them. Okay, BSA's been around for ages, but a different guy. So I don't know. There's bits on both bikes where you go, oh, that's really nice, and you look at other bits and go, well, that's not so nice. But these are built to a price point.
Yes. Yeah, we must always keep coming back to that, haven't we?
Yeah.
It's less than £4,000 each. Rivals is something we didn't mention. We did say that this capacity class is having a bit of a fruitful time at the moment, and Triumph and Royal Enfield are the two brands that spring to mind. Hunter 350, that's Hunter, isn't it? Because they don't like vowels over at Royal Enfield.
Yeah, I mean, Royal Enfield are doing great. They've got in their 350 engine, they've got, I think, 4 different models now. So, and as we said at the start of the video, there's so much in the under 400cc capacity. And Triumph, Triumph are doing so well. Those models look great. I've ridden the Speed 400. I rode it in another test against the Svart Pillion 401 and Royal Enfield, and you just would take the Triumph. It feels that premium about it, but that's not here because it's quite a bit of a price difference.
Yeah, same. KTM you could even add into that. Husqvarna, yes, you mentioned that. But again, it's almost like a different level because they've got the electronics, so they've got a slightly higher price point, therefore. So these two kind of stick together, don't they? The Royal Enfield probably as a third option. We haven't mentioned service intervals in terms of the overall price and value. What we worked out was that so Honda is every 4,000 miles or 6 months.
Yes.
Which seems could be quite regular. I mean, 4,000 miles, your 6 months is going to come up before your 4,000 miles, probably.
I'd imagine for most of the riders that buy that. And yeah, but it's a fairly simple service. And like we said, there's not a lot to take off. So it's mainly an oil drop and filter for that in that time, which is all accessible.
Yeah.
And then
the battery's under that side panel, isn't it? Just on the side there. Just one key, ping, and it's out.
It was a surprise for it to be every 6 months, and I guess that may play into it if you're following that to keep that 6 year warranty.
Yes.
And there's more Honda dealers across the UK, so that might factor into that. As we said, they're fairly simple engines.
Yeah, the BSA is every 12 months or 3,000 miles. Shall we wrap it up with if I gave you $4,000 and you had to buy one of these two, which one would you have? Which one would you buy?
I'm going to go with the Honda, and I just think they're two very different motorcycles, right? I don't know if people are going to judge them. They are natural rivals to each other, capacity-wise, price-wise. But the Honda, when I first jumped on it, I was like, oh, this thing's slow, it's got loads more power. But actually what it's about, that jeans and jacket, not being rushed, chugging along. Again, it's very, very close, but I like the sound and the quality and the torque characteristics of this air-cooled motor. It is really an old bike with a new number plate on, going back to like the helmet holder and the type of engine. It's a little bit, again, on the comfort, slightly better, riding position, slightly better. Again, it's a personal thing. The colours are pretty drab. It's not unpleasant. And actually, when I took this bike, my fiance doesn't ride. She was like, "Oh, that's really nice." I'm like, "Okay." And my dad was like, "Oh," and he does ride. He doesn't drive. Oh, that's nice looking. It's not for me. I'm not a classic guy, but it's smart, So the Honda just gets it for me.
Exactly the same from my camp, from my side. For the exact reasons. I felt slightly more comfortable on it, riding it. I felt more relaxed riding it. I felt like the low throb is a bit more in keeping with its style, but it made me more relaxed, I guess. Languid was a term I used earlier on, but sitting here talking about all those tiny little bits that clearly the Honda, the R&D guys thought about, makes a bit of a difference because it fits that style. It sits perfectly in that kind of category where you're either coming up, you're coming back, or you're coming back down again, whatever motorcycling you're into. Yeah, even just the little things like all Hondas. We talked about it off camera early on. All Hondas have got this almost like a safety feature, haven't they, with the running lights? And you brake too hard, and they flash at the rear, and it's little touches like that. And then I think with that Honda, the quality of Honda that is so synonymous with the brand, it's almost like a foundation for my verdict. And there I build it up, and everything about it, I was really, it's not to say that the BSA is a bad bike in any way, because it is fantastic. I wish the Honda had got the power of the BSA, I really do. Because you talked about it, you've got to plan that overtake. Because you've only got 20 horsepower, not 29 horsepower.
Yeah, you do.
So I'm not saying the BSA is a bad bike, not far from it. It is really, really excellent value. And I'm chuffed in a way that BSA have bought this bike out, and they are seeing the success. I mean, I'm saying that based on the fact that we've seen massive success on a huge, great spike in popularity on our website with the technical review we've got of the BSA. So brilliant job, BSA, on that bike and its price point, and it's really, really attractive. But yeah, for me, a Honda just needs a bit more power, because I don't want to have to plan my overtakes.
Yeah, I get that. But I think that, maybe change the rear sprocket just a little bit, just to get rid of that sort of overdrive is quite low geared. I don't know. But again, as I just said, that you have to get into this type of run. You've got to be there for patience, that you are not rushed and you're just cruising and having a good time and not got a load of money. wrapped up in this bike, and you can just go sunny, jeans and jacket, little plod over there, and just enjoy it.
Exactly that. Luke, thank you very much for your time, your efforts and your input. Always a pleasure riding with you, sir. Thanks for joining us. There you have it. We both choose the Honda. Just. Why not? If you get a chance to have a go on both of them, do it back to back if you can. The nuances, the differences are mainly engine related. Brilliant. Thanks again. Don't forget, BikeSocial membership is what you need in your life. It's free if you insure your bike directly with Bennett, and you've got access to over 200 different benefits, be they competitions or discounts or offers, all listed on the BikeSocial membership website. Bike Club is another place to be. It's like a cross between a social media site and a forum, but it's all full of cool people only. And you get all sorts of motorcycle questions answered by experts, proper experts. Even Luke and I are on there. They let us on there. Good stuff. See you next time. Do you think the B of BSA looks a lot like the B of Bridgestone?
No.
I say we. I had little to do with it.
Am I talking to you or am I talking to the camera?
Me. When you say action, I shall say, tell me.
Don't you just love it when you put sun cream in your eyes?
And of course, you get your BikeSocial membership for free if you...
Free!
Right. I do... Oh, now I've got this chewing gum on my eye. I don't want it.